You know, let's Sidi not sit down there and disrespect Sierra Leoneans. We all know, say, the former president Nkrumah administration been very weak on education. Now, don't they make, even before it go, on the eve of a departure, now I put the Bamanya Commission together. They met only once. They not ever get chance for meet. So all that report was cooked up.
And for una wey dey university, make I tell una this today, something una don't know, because a lot of una wey dey university now na under this administration una start. Government under President Ernest Bai Koroma, tuition for university was around 2.7 to 3 million or so.
Well, inside the 5 years, we can look at some of the promises and commitment we then be make. And for start this particular continuation of President Bio in 5 years in office, we will start with the one day we be make the promise and commitment we na the government ministry, the information minister directly. Mr. Minister, 5 years down the line from 2018 to now, I mean April 4 officially, you will start to give you general view and assess, I mean, on the administration inside the past 5 years.
Yes, so for the benefit of the listeners out there and the one who will follow me on social media, the president, Brigadier retired, turned 5 years a day ago. I want to use this platform on behalf of my colleagues there for congratulating. These are difficult times around the world for the president, but I mean he has steered the ship of state commendably well in many areas. He made commitments into this country with a lead. 5 years on, with a look back, with a lot of appreciation. Say we don't travel this far in extremely difficult and turbulent times. So commitments that were made in various areas. Number one, we be non-commit for improved education, because the country education system been on decline to an all-time low. President Bio take over crookery, examinations, malpractices, and other very unorthodox ways for go before that the school and education system be not become the norm. I don't see people that made it, one time president they come on abroad, come in country, people that made a claim ticket, yeah, some then they on top roof there for escape arrest because they catch it and they spy. So then they enter a fridge for do all that one day. We've been concerned because the education system is now dropped to an all-time low. This president come in and said, look, you know what? Before he come in, he say, because we don't lose with pride of place as a country, with them respect for education, back then, we need for return to them glory days and day. We need for institute a measures or mechanism where they make sure so we reclaim lost ground. So it commit to instituting a free quality education where we win the elections that year. Many people then across this country been say, oh, they pull the money. How is that possible? Well, not the same way they may ask President Kennedy how it possible say go land people on Mars, on the moon, send them to space. The same way he did it, now so President Bio do this. But it's not so commitments that will come on from outer space. For say, imagine I no more sit down at some air-conditioned office, you say that this I want for do for Salon people there. Before that time, they set up a multidisciplinary committee, people then from various backgrounds, for go across this country, for meet with Sierra Leoneans there, for meet with stakeholders there, ordinary men and women, Okada riders, businesswomen, teachers, all man across this country have been a part of that committee. For Lao Yeri from Salon people there, waiting at the thing where they go elect an SLPP government under President Bio go do for them. So free quality education make as one. So make it a priority. Why are they go through pains for talk about this? Because this government here, now government will respect the people that views them. So we come back, bring free quality education in record time. What to make us say in record time? He was declared winner in in April, August that same year. Free education be already up and rolling. So that one day, that's quite some huge success that one day. This free education on the on for a period So what are some of the things we will achieve? I mean, a common place now say we get about 3.1 million kids to go to school, all of them funded by the state, in the public schools there. Everybody will take transition exams that are from NPSE, who we call selective, who are reasonably old enough. We call it selective, Becker, WASC. Yeah, we don't get that one they done. Now some places there, you know, every place, every district around the country now get school feeding programs. Now some schools there, not to every school. Don't get me wrong, but on the basis of the poverty index, every place in the country, every district gets school feeding programs there. Of course, family are aware say with the supply teaching and learning materials, with the provide core textbooks there, you know, for teachers there, exercise books for the picking there. But more specifically, we don't build 1,000 classrooms nationwide. We don't do 12,000, we don't recruit 12,000 teachers there, both new and replacement teachers there. We don't increase teachers and salary between 45 to 55%. And new collective bargaining agreements don't come in place. What does that collective bargaining certificate mean? It means say the Sierra Leone Teachers Union now gets right for negotiate for and on behalf of their members then for better terms and conditions of service. You know, so that's the essence of the collective bargaining certificate. So before we take over and the appointment of the ministers then for basic and senior secondary education, no curriculum not been there. The curriculum unit them not batter for years back. So now like where they go on side, you don't know whose side to go. You completely blindfolded in darkness. The curriculum now the roadmap. Now the thing where they say where they class 1, and then thing is supposed for learn. You know, be not shut and down. Little wonder education when they take such a nosedive, when they go behind under the previous administration. We also don't see, we don't recruit about 300 education officers. Now be 13 minutes. Waiting that monitoring be for just ensure say teaching and learning they take place and the school then they run as we want to let them run. So student enrollment increased substantially in SS, pre-primary school, and additional 1 million people then add to the school roll. Pass rates increase in a very big way, in a phenomenal way, with man and say exponentially. A big Boku people them pass all the various transition exams there, from NPSE to Becker to WASC. It's also important for note say 80% of the schools there, now government they support them. Over 1,500% increase in learners with disabilities in schools. What does that mean? Begin them with physically challenged, we get one form of disability or the other. About 1,500% don't increase and then they go to school now. They will not involve the communities there, the school management in various ways. 10 million books, teaching materials and learning materials that we don't supply there over the period. Right. This is not just for make sure say education radio self even during COVID it come in very handy. COVID we begin up to go out and I don't see schools there. Now late last year they returned from where COVID strike. Sierra Leone education radio they reach every corner, every village. School begin listen now and they throughout and alongside the impulse in teaching we've been to go on.
All right,
so,
Mr. Minister, you don't take some time, they unpack some of the gains. All right, you don't take some time, they unpack some of the gains them where President P.R.O make at the education sector.
Yeah.
Now, just like any other time, during elections, each political leader for President P.R.O 2018, they began a new direction manifesto. Also, I talk about different sectors there. But during the campaign messages, there are particular areas where the president been prioritized as of then. One of the areas them na education, we don't unpack some of the gains them where President P.R.O don't make. Yeah. Another priority area by then, na the condition of living for people them. By then, everybody be waiting the president be the talk. Say things are hard for Sierra Leonean and they be make a whole lot of promises. One of the things then are the issue of the bread and butter, waiting people and they eat. As of then, and if I can take you back 2018, where President Bio been take over, it be meet a bag of rice a little over 200,000. Now, if you go and compare a bag of rice, it's over 600,000. It be meet petrol a little over 6,000. Now petrol don't go up to 25,500. And also a lot of things them. But I go just peg them to two of the examples then they were don't give you.
Yep.
In the area of condition of living, what in President Bio tell Sierra Leonean?
Okay, so now we can let's begin with more small data conversation. Just for start of who you take off, you forget say in 2007 we President Ernest Bai Kroma been the take over, rest now been 60,000 leons for a bag. A few years down the line, as at 2018, it been on past 250,000 leons. I mean, so look at that percentage. But not today, I don't want for concentrate. I want for, I want for lay my premise and make my arguments. Number one, we don't see, then send in the His Excellency, then retired Brigadier Julius Madabio been making commitments and the twin shocks there, not happen it. Number one, there was no COVID. Number two, there was no Russian-Ukraine war. Okay? So that was the state of play. Now the context that one day, we'll be making them commitments in there. Still, we know they make excuses because we don't get anything in there. But I want where would the context get for be understood correctly. Where we take over in 2018 rather. The economy been very seriously challenged. We say, if not been patient, if been on life support machine, if been in coma, right? We have a responsibility as a new government for make sure say we able to bring back the economy, even if in a mouth-to-mouth resuscitation we use for bringing them back to life, stabilize the patient, and lead them to full recovery. So that was the state of challenge we'll get. So you find out say in 2018, who come in. 2 years earlier, in 2016, you been get real GDP growth been there at 6.7%. By 2018, it don't nose dive to something like 3.7%. Okay, the productive sector been not begin shrink. Two of the major mines and one of the major employers and revenue earners there, they don't shut down. So the implications are jobs were shrinking. But people that don't lost their jobs, government revenue don't virtually collapse, and all ends in the day. Still, as a government, this was the state of play. Inflation was 15%. Oh, coming. Government say, look, the responsibility of government now for make sure say transition you people there. This kind of economy where they on life support in coma with all the macro and microeconomic variables there, low transition into a properly run economy. So, President Bio spent the first 2 years for stabilize this economy, change the figure there. Real GDP growth will improve from 3.7% to 5.5% as at 2019, 2020. This was phenomenal. That was before COVID strike, right? Before COVID strike. There, we don't get GDP. We don't improve the GDP within to about 15%. Okay, domestic revenue mobilization to GDP ratio, 15% we don't bring her. It was lesser than that, but it will come in. And we also don't make sure, say, by 2021, we don't begin tame inflation. All of them in there, now the state of play. We don't say, what we don't do for the economy. We'll come in the bread and butter issues that we don't ask. I really want you to be patient with me. Let us deal with this big elephant in the room.
Go ahead.
So number one, we'll come in this very ambitious education program where His Excellency say it introduced free quality education. But people will not believe say it was going to happen. For many, it was a Hollywood movie, not a distant dream, and make it a reality. First off, they pay for every school because within a school. So, what's in that one they mean? If you get an average size we get picking in a school, you are literally saving a lot of money law will say that the school system, whatever the fees are, you get 5 picking, right? Then they pay school fees for all of them. Now, not even say that they NPSE. If then the NPSE public exams fees added to that. If then they back public exams fees added to the normal and regular fees. Core textbooks then they English, mathematics, and science. They as core textbooks. So every people who go to school gets. You calculate that one day. You also calculate school meals in some communities. Now, Western area, for example, add that to subsidize bus fares for school picking. So this is a lot of savings where an average family they do. So all the money then they where that family did they save, instead of you pay school fees, instead of you go pay normal commercial rate bus fare, instead of you go buy normal core textbooks, instead of you buy exercise books, instead of in fact another layer added to it, Madam First Lady in office, and she has to be commended for this, the free sanitary pads. We know picking in the lost considerable time during the menses. So now then they get free sanitary pads. So if you buy them, other cost they to them. So this government is saving families, hard-pressed families, a lot of resources where they go otherwise use for address bread and butter issues. I want to make this clear to Salone people there. When they talk about bread and butter issues, I don't know anywhere in the world. I don't go heaven it. Sometimes heaven in and they give you work for it. But yeah, government they say, okay, that money will be spent for all ends in there. Use are now for attempt to address other domestic issues there for provide livelihood for the family. And Sierra Leoneans and their families they know the benefit from this. They are quite grateful. The opposition might want to undermine that argument, but we were here 11 years. They didn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just begin. Sorry.
No,
I
want
want
to
address
go for
bread
a
and
break.
butter.
Yes, we come back to
okay,
you.
Come back.
Yes, the time from we studio clock, they tell we say 8 o'clock, and this time now follow go for a break.
All right, the program na Good Morning Salon. They come to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. In case you just tune in, or if you watch we on our Facebook page, we'll continue for discuss President being 5 years in office. Or they look at waiting the President been promised Salon people in 2018 during the campaign, and waiting it able for achieve during the 5 years for ensure say he keep to in promise system. We get the Minister of Information, we also know the government spokesman, Mohamed Swaray, and we get the National Publicity Secretary for the main opposition, All People's Congress, Sidi Tunis. We they come now to Sidi Tunis as we don't. We go come back to you. Go take the cue from Musa you left. All right, Mr. Tunis, 5 years as opposition party. Una don't also be part of government because most them the opposition can be part of government. Una get a role for checkmate the government on some of the issues them where una think say no they happen right. Una don't be part of governance, una don't see all of the projects and programs them where President Bio and in team be able for implement during in 5 years. From an opposition point of view, waiting will be your general assessment in terms of some of the projects them where President Bio be able for implement during in 5 years as president.
Well, thank you very much, Khadija. In terms of assessing President Bio, you get a look at several sectors, just like I want to say earlier, we prioritize. And the minister begin with education, where now the flagship project. So myself go start with education. And for make people they understand, Usai, I want for take this argument, for let them understand that much not achieved yet under education as far as this administration concerned. I want for go through some of the things that way the previous administration do as far as education concerned. In the first place, when you look at the budgetary allocation to education under the previous administration, they meet them at 3% of the total GDP in this country. 3% be allocated to education, where President Ernest Bai Kromah in 2007. It raised down to up to 10%, right? So that's a huge investment in education. In addition to that, several schools were built across this nation, for ensure say we increase access. As at 2018, we get up to 2.7 million beginning we already enrolled in school. So we minister, they say they don't ease to 3.1 million. So that tells you that much difference not on day. And then you look at quality. We be they see say a lot of pikin them they fail in school, especially the one we be they sit public exams them like Becker and WAS. So what in the administration do? They set up a commission where the Bamanja Commission we go right around this nation for assess what really not the issue. So then find out say pikin and not be they get enough time for finish the syllabus we require them for prepare well for public exams. So then look at the 6334 systems. They recommend to government say then for change them to 6344. So the extra 1 year go give the pikin them enough time for able to complete the syllabus and prepare well for sit the public exams. And when that happens, we see massive improvement in number of pikin will be the pass public exams them. Now, in terms of payment, the issue of assistance to schools them, as far as fees concerned, start way back with President Ahmad Tijan Kaba. We start with primary education. President Anes Baikuruma come, been they pay not only for primary education, but also take them to junior secondary school. But in addition to that, been they pay also for all girl pikin will be they offer sciences, from primary all the way to university. And for una way the university, make I tell una this today, something una don't know, because a lot of una way the university now una under this administration una start. Government under President Anes Baikuruma, tuition for university was around 2.7 to 3 million or so. The government of Anes Baikuruma been they pay 75% of that amount they for students then. Now 25% no more students that be they pay. In addition to that 75% college tuition where the government be they pay, the government also be they offer SLG when are granting aid to students that we qualify. Whether one day today no day, now student loan day now. In addition, government also be they pay for all female students then will be they offer sciences and engineering subjects them across the board. So it tells you the amount of investment as far as education concerned. Now with all of that, this government come in and make several promises. And I will go through some of the promises for see how much really much not happening. When they come, if you notice in 2018, several teachers then vote for them. Because they come, they promise, first of all, the teachers then say, when they come, any teacher we want for pursue, continue in education, for make himself qualified and go pay for them, free. That one day not happen. They also promise say, any teacher we don't take 10 years to teach, then go make sure 3 of him pikin get free university education. That one day not ever happen. They also promise say, then go build one primary school now every section of this country. That one day not happen. They say then go build one junior secondary school now every ward. We get 446 wards or so. That you they talk about 446 junior secondary schools. That one day not happen. Then talk say then go build one senior secondary school in every constituency. Now this country will get 132 constituencies. You be the judge. If that one day happen, and then there's promise say all this go be happen as against 2023. None of that did not happen. They also promise say then go eliminate the 2-shift system. That one did not happen. Now let's come to the free education where they talk about. What really the government they do as far as free education not different from what President Kaba do or President Anes Baikuruma do, and that is assistance to education. Then they help for pay tuition for picking them at school. That is it. Now, then they say free quality education. But when you look at what's they happen, tuition, they only take care of 25% of education expenses. Now this country. And when you look at where economy day, You look at how the cost of things, they don't go up. You take the cost of uniform. You take the cost of shoes. You take the cost of transportation. You take the cost of feeding, where parents then they incur. All that one, they far exceed the tuition where government they pay, where then they call free education. You understand? In fact, we research shows say at all level, education expenses on parents is still far more than education expenses on government. So clearly, we not get totally free education. So this idea where government they always push free education, that really not to the case. Parents they still they spend huge amount of money on them picking their education expenses. We come to quality. Because of the shift, we don't see say the quality among picking and don't drop so much. We don't see public exams them now. We don't reach a point now outside and they even fake grades. Picking and they go sit exams, then they get grades them for subject that way they don't even sit. Just because the government want for look good say picking and they pass boku. The picking and they use, then they pass, they're not able to use the grades for enter college. The quality don't so low now that every university or higher institution at this country where was speaking they require for enter now get entrance exam them where they conduct for the Pekin because they don't see say the Pekin where they take was for enter university to most extent not really live up to the standard where the university and they expect. And the disheartening thing is when then they do their entrance exams, then the majority of them Pekin and they fail. So waiting they happen now. You get huge amount of Pekin them where they drop out. We're not able to enter university with the worst results then because the grades then we then they get really not to grades then we then deserve or not grades then we not even they speak to the subjects that we then take. So as far as quality also concerned, it don't drop to the lowest level under this administration. So when they brag about free quality education, we get a huge problem. Going forward also, one of the things that we don't realize now that we get high, even though we don't get high access as a result of the pronouncement of free quality education, but the dropout rates among Pekin still exist. So we don't find out say 1 out of every 4 Pekin they drop out, not able to complete either Becker level or WAS level. So as a result, we get thousands of Pekin now we sit down, we're not able to complete Becker, we're not able to complete WAS. So these are all huge challenges where they face with this free quality education where then they talk about.
Sidi, in line with what you don't lay out so in terms of the challenge on the present government and priority area winner the education, you so much emphasize say one of them priority area winner education, the free quality education, not get the value as they emphasize on them. In all of the interview you talk about, picking them don't drop out of school and college. Now based on fact or on waiting exactly? Because if I read the state out there, you give exact figure we reflect or show what you talk about.
I talk based on fact.
So they don't go up to which level of percentage?
I tell you clearly, say 1 out of every 4 Pekin when you go through up to Becker, they drop out. So that in itself, now figure I don't give you 1 out of 4. So these are all based on facts. I also could say when we become 2.7 million Pekin already enrolled in school because of the kind system we've been there. I also don't tell you, say, we still find out, say, out of, if you look at all of the levels, the household expenses on education is still far more for parents than government. For example, if you look at primary, 57% of expenses still are parents that they incur. So for every 100,000, for example, 57,000 still are the household expenditure on education. So when you talk about free education, you look at all of them things then they, right? So now we come to the other thing where the minister talk about, where now the economy. The minister talks say when they come, they meet the economy on life support. That is absolutely not true. Just like how the minister, they say, when this administration, the previous administration came into office in 2007, in 2008, then get the term we get the highest commodity crisis in the world, where prices of commodities then go up all over the world. In fact, that year, the price for oil per barrel now be $145. That are the highest it don't ever go in the world. But former President Ernest Bai Koroma put in prudent economic measures then, we ensure say we keep the economy going. Even where the price of barrel go at $145 a barrel, we don't ever buy petrol more than 3,750 leons a liter at that time. Now, when the minister then came in, inflation was at 14.9%.
15%.
They come with all of these promises of 20% of revenue, go be generated, we'll go reduce reckless spending, we'll go reduce wage bill, we'll go reduce, all of that. Now, today, as I speak, inflation is at 42.7%. From 14%, inflation nowadays 42.7%. Now, you look at the wage bill. In 2017, this is now one of the things that we then criticize the previous government for. The wage bill now be 1.9 trillion. Today, we don't see all kinds of employment. In ministry, for example, the Directorate of Strategic Communications alone are the largest I don't see in my entire life. Wage bill today now 4.8 trillion. So it don't go up exponentially. You look at external debt. Then come meet external debt at 16 trillion. Today, external debt stand at 40 trillion. Then come meet the dollar at 7,500. Today, the dollar now 22,000. Then come meet, Salon currency, for example, now one of the worst performing currency today. For the first time in the history of this country, the Guinean currency don't value pass we own. 2018, for example, if you give 100,000, you get 150,000 Guinean franc. Today, if you give 100,000, you get 45,000 Guinean franc. And because of this, one of the major things where the administration be the brag about, where they be the Kamna power, we all remember the bread and butter. They say they go fix our economy in 6 months. Today, price of rice don't come out from 200,000 with a meter to 650,000. In fact, in some places it is more. Gari from 500,000 a cup to 3,000 a cup. Fuel from 6,500 to 21,500. Bulgur from 3,000 to 7,000. I go on and on and on. It tells you that every sector, as far as commodities concerned, don't go up under this administration. And as we go further, I go tell you now why. And not get nothing absolutely for do with COVID. And not get nothing absolutely for do with Ukraine war. It all get for do with the fact say we're not able to manage spending. We spend unnecessarily. We don't bloat the wage bill. And we're not careful enough. We not too much care about the things that we bother on the lives of the citizens of this country as far as this administration concerned.
All right, continue for the routine of the program. In name Sidi Tunis, National Publicity Secretary for the All People's Congress APC Party. We'll come back to now as to continue for look at different issues then as we analyze President's bill in 5 years in office.
Mr. Minister, before we come over to the other studio guests, you will emphasize on the issue of the bread and butter, and that's now one thing we want to be emphasizing to the public for say we want to take over in leadership. We want to ensure say the hardship will be reduced on people. But in your own context and word, what do you would describe as bread and butter? Because according to you, not they get the exact meaning or what you want to be mean at that particular time.
Bread and butter, like we all know. Now, any opportunity where you get for able to put food at the table of your family, any opportunity.
The opportunity
like now savings where you don't get party, where if you don't pay school fees, if you don't buy a book, that money there. we go use for other thing there. Na bread and butter thing there. So I want to talk about, the APC for the most part, they're not positive about anything. Then they see a glass, instead of them say the glass half full, they say half empty. When they talk about wage bill. For God's sake, a wrong where government employed, where the government not employ about 12,000 teachers. That one they wrong. For the human capital development component alone, agriculture, health, and education, now about 26,400 teachers who don't employ. Now then 400 teachers, healthcare workers, and people that are in direct agriculture with far more, multiply effects. Because if you get one teacher, you get dependents there, you get other people there. Right? So they say this is not bread and butter issue. When you begin for see them money there as expenditure, that is when the trouble starts. This na bread and butter because then people then need to get sources of livelihood. That one day now just hold your peace. This na just the human capital components, health, education, and agriculture. Where you commodity, even at the security sector, we don't do a lot of recruitments there. Then people then they get families there, then they get source of income directly, and then they look after their families there. Now bread and butter that one there as well. So you can't so COVID. What to make you always bring the APC on the spot. Now the reason say now they want to be alternative government. So we're going to talk about the record. For sure say there's not much to celebrate about it. When you look at the stewardship of this economy of this country in the last 11 years where they rule.
Mr. Minister, you want to spend your time talking about the APC?
Oh, no. Don't gag me around it. Sorry. Not gag me around the Khadija. If you not remember who side the rain beat you, who side sleep, you not remember who side for down. Slavery end over hundreds of years ago, still the talk about that.
Let people waiting this administration don't really.
Let her make my point, please.
Go ahead.
Where COVID break, I tell when I say this government demonstrates a lot of compassion, a lot of love, because President Bio put the people there at the heart and center of everything they do. What will do with COVID break? And I want for compare that one day to waiting the previous administration failed for do where Ebola been break, right? With Ebola, now 3 countries be affected: Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia. Billions of money being poured into this country. They not show this kind of compassion where President Bio administration don't show where COVID break, where the whole country being get problem. Number one, as soon as it happened, the current chief minister and the head of Minister of Finance, they bring all the players and together with the Bank of Salon, they put tangible measures in place. They put in place a quick action economic response program. One of the things they do will make sure say essential commodities, fuel, rice, oil, and things they be in the market. They're not shorting. When they see now labor in Liberia and other countries and the queue, then they even can't buy now. That is what a government will care for and people they do. In the same period, we launch the Munafa Fund. We don't see people them in the community and communities there. They run away because they're able to pay commercial interest rate for loan when they take 22%, 24%, 25%. President Bill said, look, we need for support the people there. We launch a Munafa Fund for make capital available to small businesses so that they go look after themselves and their families. Munafa now about 8% interest rate. We'll launch that one day for let people then get access. Again, you are keeping these people in businesses, they're able to look after themselves and their families, bread and butter again. Direct cash transfers through NAXA to thousands of families across this country. Thousands of families. We'll go on some communities, and these are live testimonies there. With His Excellency, where they go on this thank you talk. People they say they not ever no say money they can for old people they now. Well, the fact is APC been the chopper. APC been the chopper. With President Bio once it gets an all man they get. During the COVID, we make sure say we support people living with disabilities because then they know they do lockdown, not to people they're not able to go drag. So make sure say we give them direct cash transfers. So do that, the beneficiaries are grateful. Now to few passing comments on education. You say as at the time the APC left, when I've been get 2.7 million people that enroll in a school. Enrollment are one thing. Retention and completion are the most important thing. You enroll, but because people were not able to retain, we are not able to see them through completion. this is what we have done. So enrollment are just the beginning.
Mr. Minister, you talk about the COVID
Can I end and come back?
You talk about the COVID and also the Ukraine and Russia war.
I'm coming.
When are issues them where we make presidents be not be able to do most of the things them.
I have not said that at all. Don't put words into my mouth. I'm not talking that. I've been set the context. I say in spite of that, all ends in the hour they talk. Now during COVID would do.
The Ukraine and Russia war and also the COVID. Now one of the things that we don't stand out for most government officials.
It's a global thing, not for most government officials around the world. Everybody's mentioned. But I mentioned say we will not make it around there an alibi for inaction. Government all ends in the hour they do so. Now during that period they don't do that. So can I continue?
Global issues now one way most way owners government officially come to the media. They complain but say they be an interruption for some of the programs.
No country is celebrating it. The UK and the US.
Mr. Minister, please, can I land?
So if you give me a chance, I'll go on.
I just want to ask, waiting at the updates on the area of the bakery where President Bio been talk about as a way for give job to the youth there in particular.
So la continue my trend of thoughts. My brother don't mention higher education. I want to tell you, see, the president being committed, say, he go depoliticize higher education. He go cease being chancellor of the university. And he's done that. He's a man of his words. What's in that one they mean? The university now, they're able to recruit in young leadership. People then, when are proven academics there, we get the right network, we get the right caliber in research, we able to mobilize private sector resources. And that has happened. He said it, he did it. Again, all the gap picking where they pass the final and transitional exams for go university where they do science, technology, engineering, agriculture, and mathematics, STEAM courses, they get scholarship for go to then waiting. As if that is not enough, we also don't introduce a student loan scheme. The first set of cohorts are being recruited. We have never had it so beautiful in this country. When you come back, technical vocational education and training, you get this rolled out in 10 people there. We had a civil war here. Over 10 years, you get a whole lot of grown-ups that will miss out on normal grammar school education. And then people they still deserve to get livelihood sources. So we are preparing them so that they're going to get skills then where they look after themselves and their families then.
So, Mr. Minister, in all of the entire we don't I would like say
no,
yeah, we not go get time, we will just get for need for the cabinet.
Well, I'll just wrap up quick on this one.
Okay, we go ahead.
We've been committed to say teachers that don't teach for long years, then beginning 3 of them beginning with the university with the help of scholarship. And that is currently happening. Okay. In coming days and months, you probably can do testimonials and the beneficiaries and they are alive, then they complete, then they write letters, then the Canada ministry, they are very grateful. So somebody they say for all free quality education, parents and still they do a lot of things. I mean, Lord understand this. Even at the risk of repeating myself on this platform. Where government introduce free quality education for support parents, it not means say parenting with the outsourcer. Parenting cannot be outsourced to government. Parents then still get responsibility. Government are help out. I think this has to be understood.
So, Mr. Minister,
on the wrap up thing now, on this one, let's just wrap up. Then you ask me the other question. You know, let's see not sit down there and disrespect Sierra Leoneans. We all know say. The former president Nkrumah administration been very weak on education. Now they make even before it go on the eve of a departure. Now I put the Bamanya Commission together. They met only once. They not ever get chance for meet. So all our report was cooked up, and this is fact.
Mr. Minister, we'll ask you a question for say with all entire we don't outline say on our administration don't do. We according to you some of the entire are good thing and reflective. It address the bread and butter issue. Why you think say majority of the citizens still complain and ask some more when you look at access and availability of basic commodities? It's still a challenge. So waiting missing, yet still when I don't put all of them things here in place. You don't talk about the Monafa Fund, student loan scheme, the improvement will don't take place in the education sector. Why you think say yet still the public is crying?
11 years will take a very deep dive. So
you want to say 5 years not enough for make a change?
5 years has never been enough for anybody. Even at the most advanced countries, all the foundations there. The APC wrecked this country.
Mr. Minister,
they almost dismembered this country. We are rebuilding it block by block, layer by layer. Thanks to President Bio for his commitment. a wholesome commitment to this process,
Mr. Minister,
we
before
could have collapsed as a country.
Before we come to CD for talk on some of the issues, then I be ask you just not say waiting at the status of the bakery.
I know the answer that one. Sorry.
Why?
All lengthy hour they talk about holistic bread and butter issues. Then if you get you want to talk butter, you can go.
But the bakery not a part of that for make the bread
Well,
and
so
butter
that
be
is
more
just one
easy
thing.
and
If I choose not to
accessible.
talk about her, if I
Well,
choose not
Mr.
to talk
Minister,
about
as
her,
a
what do you
government
lose?
minister and also a government spokesman, you there for talk on behalf of the president.
Khadija, I'm not pigeonhole this argument. You don't ask me about bread and not butter. I don't take you on a jolly good ride of the efforts that we don't make in this.
Okay, continue for the
So
retweet.
let's continue.
Continue for the retweet. Mohamed Swaray. Mohamed Swaray, the Minister of Information and Communication, we be they talk about things so far where the present administration don't do inside the office of 5 years. Well, Radio Democracy, this is a continuation program we don't start yesterday. Radio Democracy, they get the view from different people on President Bio in 5 years. And from the minister, where they come over to Sidi Tunis, Publicity Secretary, now the main opposition, APC party. We really let this particular program get a focus. The comparison from year to year, now they make people feel convinced and get more reason for listening to una. You don't talk about the challenge every day. You say the government priority program not get any quality and all. So plenty of people go and know if APC be in power with all the challenge with this present administration, they point at the Ukraine and Russia war and pandemic. We do not probably don't do different where the things that we don't increase now in price commodities and not for be happen at all. We do not probably don't do different. We for make the public not for the cry about hardship.
You see, whenever you in governance, you get for that is why the manifesto they put together. Whenever you in governance, you get for anticipate unforeseen circumstances. But how you manage then circumstances, then they make you good government. Earlier, I highlight one of the crises that we'll meet, one of the commodity crisis. Before 2014, if you remember very well, Sierra Leone be there among one of the fastest growing economy. Ebola hit we, with GDP go not only zero, we go as far as minus 21%. But even with that, we'll be able to manage Ebola as such. Schools they not be they go on, but we'll be they still pay teacher them on time. Right? We'll be the lockdown communities, will they feed all them communities then they because the people are not able to move out of the areas then. We did all of that. Cash transfers, now we start them. Over 500 households then benefit across this country during Ebola. You understand? We did all of that. And immediately after Ebola, we put prudent economic measures in place where the economy bounced back. We moved from minus 21% to 6.5% growth where the minister talked about earlier. So it tells you that we have the ability always for able to manage the economy because we always get the people at the back of our mind.
City, una get the ability, but yet still there was austerity declared by the then party
well,
where
see,
they represent
this is where
in 2016. So how you would describe that if
okay,
we
so
really manage the economy well?
See, this is where people always they confuse. Waiting at austerity.
That because there was a misplace of financial management.
Austerity, no. Austerity.
One of the reasons.
No, austerity simply means putting in place measures then for make you able to manage your economy. So, for example, if I don't see, say, I get wasteful spending, because of that wasteful spending I put measures in place for cut down spending so I go improve on my inflation. So that is simply waiting austerity.
So that 10 years to that time there was a wasteful spending?
In 20, now, with Ebola, Hamburg economy. So government put in place measures then for bring the economy back to life. And one of them measures then, for example, now be waiting. In 2016, for example, I remember very well, my first trip as minister, they don't buy for me business class. Now economy tickets, then buy for me from here to US and back. That have been savings to the country. That are simply waiting austerity mean. And not mean say the government don't collapse. But I come back to other areas then, because we look at President Bio in 5 years.
As you come to other areas then, Mr. Sidi, let's take you back to 2018 during the presidential debate. One thing we been stand out for President Bio, according to Ramdenten, na the 11 years of una party una within government of Missouri. One thing we highlight na the global corruption we say be the happen during una term in governance. 5 years now. How you go analyze the area of corruption to that of the 11 years corruption where the president will emphasize on?
So now there one comes so why I say like going to other areas. One of the areas then with this government hit we on that the fact say that be the accused we say we not get transparency, we not get accountability, we much involved in wasteful spending. They even accuse the previous president say they travel too much, then go cut down on overseas travel and all of that. Then go ensure say they reduce the wage bill. Then go ensure say they address all of the recommendations then with the audit report they show. Now, in 2015, 2016, 2017, when you combine then 3 years then the audit report shows say the country lost about 178.1 billion. Right? In 2021 alone, under this administration, 187.3 billion. Now they're not able to account for. And this 187.3 billion not include the office of the president, not include the office of the vice president, not include the office of the first lady. In all of me years, when me get sense that this country, there is not a single time where audit service, they audit this country, where they know they audit the office of the president, they know they audit the office of the vice president, they know they audit the office of the first lady. And now, the audit service, they tell we say, their offices, they don't meet the threshold for audit. For God's sake, when spending of with government money consolidated from consolidated funds don't get for do with threshold for audit. For a government, we say they're accountable, we say they're transparent, they not forget issue for audit, person. That are one. Then secondly, first time in the history of this country, audit report, they tell we say forgery. Forgery, they happen in the office of the president. To a point in the fake receipts for payments there of things that we then say they do now international hotels that we they not do. It not ever happen in the history of this country. So for a government where they brag about transparency and accountability, that not very seriously. Now we come to corruption. Before 2008, anti-corruption not be get the kind powers we get now. They not be even get prosecutorial powers. The previous administration amend the act, it give them so much powers, it give them the coverage from 6 or 7 indicators to 12. And we all see how much them prosecute people even in governance at that time. But today, that one they happen. The Anti-Corruption Commission so much focus on opposition than people in government. So it is more like the fight is selective. And during we time, we introduce measures them also for avoid corruption, such as pay no bribe campaign and all of that. And all of them things that they help for improve with rating. But today, we they see say the Anti-Corruption Commission will go prosecute people because of the favoritism, then go back na court say we not get enough evidence, we now withdraw this case. So as far as we are concerned, on the issues of transparency and accountability, we don't see much. In fact, we don't see, say, because of the many spending, unnecessary spending where this government they embark on, the audit service, the ACC, they do deliberate act for ensure, say, they cover certain offices. Reports then clearly don't show, for example, that the travel alone for we president is over 300 times.
But the president say they go rebrand Sierra Leone from the mess way on a government left.
Which mess? What has been the benefit? Most of them trips, then they per trip, they cost this country over $100,000, depending on the distance, because of the flight hour. Then plane the way with the charter, for every 1 hour, we they pay $10,000 for every 1 hour. So calculate that one day, depending on the number of hours we they take per trip. You know how many other areas we be able to cover?
But
with
again,
that kind of money, then they will they spend.
But most time again, see, the then travel here, I mean, according to information we can come out, now that's not so directly now the president is spend. Maybe it's based on invite from other presidential heads of state now other country. And most time then travel here don't bring back a lot. What you go say in line with that?
First of all, who side and say that one day?
Most time we press release can come out or from different
the
people
audit
on
report.
the
The audit report they show you say in just 1 year, now 20 billion. Now they give the office of the president for travel no more. 20 billion.
So you don't believe then travel here don't give back to the country?
What's it they don't bring back?
No, that question are they asking.
No, not much. I mean, if they don't bring back something, let us state time exactly waiting.
Okay, well,
let we analyze back waiting the wrong come with. Sometimes the minister go help you with that, and then we go verify.
Continue for the program CD, or they come over to the Minister of Information and Communication. We just go take the cue from the sector where CD just speak about when a corruption, and one of the things then that the way presidents will be lay so much emphasis on. In fact, it be even declare war on corruption. But 5 years through in administration, we don't see waiting the audit reports on. They talk about the alleged missing billions, issues of double dipping, issues of receipt forgery, and so much happened inside these 5 years. What you go tell Salon people in terms of President's bill in fight towards corruption, Mr. Minister?
Okay, so go begin my explanation by reading the MCC scorecard. Not to me mark this paper. MCC is a globally reputed organization. That the scorecard at the start with. The president means say it will fight corruption, and we don't see the zest, the commitment, and the determination where it don't demonstrate. It appoints one of Sierra Leone's finest young minds for leader fight, and he has led it with utmost commitment and diligence. So let's read the results. We take exam said in the mark you. The MCC winner American man and with money. Not to tune and sit down. They not sit down any place now. Now they mark this result. So 2007, former President Ernest Krumah in score now 15% per corruption, a failure. 2008, 28%, a failed corruption index. 2009, 27%, a failure. 2010, 40%, a failure. It only passer, like, 53%. A passer, 2011. 2012, again, a passer, 53%. Come to President Bill now. 2018, it just come. It gets 71%. Excellent. 2019, it gets 79%. Excellent. 2020, it gets 81%. Excellent. 2021, 83%. Excellent. 2022, 79%. Excellent. So I think so for clap for him. On a normal day, this is what we do. But I don't say my brother Sidi go say and not believe this again. Anyway, so that one day now the president in scorecard on corruption. When you move from yonder, you also will realize say under his watch, we don't do more recoveries when it comes to corruption than at any other time in our history. You know, this young commissioner, because the president give him free hand, you know, it don't recover a lot of money, including more recently from Yvonne Akisoya, about $14,000 equivalent. Yes, it's saying that people didn't pay for it. But this was play bargain, in other words. Right? So, this means this government is working. Other indicators where MCC don't assess, I mean, you might not like this, but this is fast. We passed the corruption for 5 consecutive years. Other things where MCC don't assess, we don't pass. Primary education expenditure, 100%. No government has done it. 22% of our national budget to this. Freedom of information, 98%. CD, there will be the fail land all the time.
Mr. Minister, why are you not talking about the audit report?
The audit report at the camp did not railroad me at the camp. Political rights, 94%. Civil liberties, 92%. rule of law 65%, land rights 60%. So we are making progress. I think it's a very, very important. We'll talk about some of them in there while we sit down here. Let us not go tell which thing we're not correct. The office of the president, who they talk say they're not audit. Then do engagements with them, but there has to be a threshold. You know, like one of the play game, one of the guy elimination series. If you not pass their initial preliminary rounds, then they they go to the main league. They did not have anything untoward who go able to make the auditor. Allah also make this. The office of the president not been captured in audit reports in 2012, 2016, 2017, 2018. No, the office of the president was never captured. I can challenge you on record if you prove I'm right, if you prove me otherwise.
Okay.
I mean, let nobody not believe me again. I'm saying this to you. So when you sit down there, Lord shows more respect for Salon people there. They know these things. Don't feel them on a rich diet of lies. They sabi.
Mr. Minister, one other cue I will take from Sidi Tunis now that most of President Bio International trip them.
Yeah,
according to him, he say no, don't bring anything back to the country.
For address. You know, again, like I say, the APC when they argue, they know they see the glass as half full, then they see it as half empty. They're so negative. Anything where they push this country go before. I don't count by APC people there. We're not even all qualify for Go Nations Cup. They know one and they all fail. Anyway, so at the council this one now, the president in overseas travels there. When we begin to do cost-benefit analysis, that is when we would have started the argument. But when you say no more because it travel, may know, for example, the iron project in the transport sector. This money being there will be the round after and been something like $25 million. When the president go there, he meets with the World Bank president, INSESF, he talk about the compelling challenges we will get at the ground. By the time they left Washington, D.C., that was converted to a $50 million. Initially, the $25 million had been loan. But because he made a very compelling case for Sierra Leone, before they left D.C., they non-converted to a grant. Now that one day you see, we'd expect 50 buses, hopefully, pretty soon. You see all lengths here, they go up na Freetown. Works they go on. For the first time, under that same project, the Freetown, they get Boku Tine, including street license. So we are making progress. Part of the other trip where we go again, you know, now trip then we don't help position this country. Holidays, President go Japan, then keep it in the door. I've been in that delegation, then keep it in the door for a while. They say, Salome no hold debt today, we get debt in that hotel day, we need for pay down for. So we stayed out in that cold day for a while until that was sorted. So international reputation had been soiled, had been damaged. So when they talk about image laundry, we not to image waiting, not to launder. We now go for Brook Salon image. The president has been leading that charge, and today we're very proud to say Sierra Leone and the view through different lenses. We are no longer the country blighted by the civil war, Kotan, long sleeve, short sleeve. We are no longer the country with Sabu no more for Ebola, for COVID. They now know we as a country on the ascendancy. For education, where the whole country, the whole world get crisis by education. The UN Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, he called President Bio. He said, you don't demonstrate commitment to education. You get the benefit of hindsight. You are one of few leaders that want for call or co-chair transforming education, or address the crisis in education.
Mr.
So
Minister,
this is what the investments and the overseas trips are doing.
Talking about,
we are rebranding, we are repositioning this country for get respect and for attract a fair share of foreign direct investment and tourism. Now that make, even during this period, now during COVID, this whole idea of a brand new airport start. And we'll have it here now.
Still
PPP, government up put one lieu.
Still on the area of fighting corruption
Yes,
under His Excellency President Bio administration. Aside the audit report, during these 5 years, we don't see so many revelations with evidence them where journalists them don't they bring out, especially the African Express, reveal so many alleged corruption them according to investigation them.
Yeah.
But how with evidence is they show facts to people and say now this and this don't they happen under the presidency administration just for backup to wait.
Okay, so la mention this. Where I mention say the office of the president not been captured ever. In 2012 report, in 2016 report, in 2017 report, in 2018 report. What to make us say this was very unprofessional. Yes, the vice president was never captured in audit reports in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2016, 17, and 21. That was on professionalism. It was selective justice. I just want to make that one.
Okay.
Having said that, Africanist press may not always a register. It's online, but I also aware say because of the level of exposure, the person where they behind now, he's a friend. Ordinarily, we get a lot of respect for each other, but they criminalize even per diems. Per diems are legitimate entitlement. City don't get per diem, say Bele don't big now. I know APC people there, so they're not been even travel and they get per diem. You don't criminalize diligently and per diem. Yeah, I see they criminalize all now one day. So most of the things the way they talk now legitimate. If the president hire a flight for let the president travel, that is not criminal. You cannot criminalize it. People then salary, you know, somebody they working at the office of the president. You think if you get 15 million, yeah, now hospitality director, that is criminal. I have seen all of this. You know, you make a general reference to Africanist press.
Not to the area of salary.
Okay, so now which area?
The area of illegal transfer. Them
I don't know about illegal transfers. Per diem say wouldn't give me a don't criminalize them. So that is not a credible document I want to discuss.
So how about the audit report we talk about? Receipt forgery and double dipping at the office of the president.
I don't know about that at all, but I know the president who Asabi, where it comes to integrity, he rises above the free.
What you don't know about the audit report or the issues then?
May they say the president who Asabi can never anybody will do that around that.
But nobody the audit report.
Well, I have not seen many things have been in that audit report. For example, this man they say money loss. As I then send and they wouldn't do again. When I say good, where you know about the public service more bit a good.
Okay.
As at the time when the audits and so then the rights, they are fair guarded. They're not able to submit materials for this. Right? And more often than not, when they do other visits there, then they give them all of that.
Mr. Minister, we did few months to the election and citizens get the right for vote. So many people they contemplate between APC and SLPP other than for casting them vote. For you they are now as the Minister of Information and Communication. Take off the political lens and talk as a Sierra Leonean we get the interest of all Salon people. You think, say, the citizens for give President Bio a second chance and cast in their votes for him?
No, this one I will get record for defense. If the last word now mega for talk.
No, okay.
I will get record. Now we
no, because of time, we program the end at 9 o'clock. So now, Amy, you can answer the question one time.
It's okay.
Yes.
No, just come.
I mean, it's just protocol, normal protocol.
Right,
And to me, so forget the last.
Mr. Tunis.
No, this is not the last now, I think. Yeah.
All right, so they come.
I should have the last one.
You get the bet.
Or they come to
CBI
Tunis.
Yes.
Who still they look at issues them we get for do with promises where His Excellency be make inside the New Direction Manifesto. A lot of things then he talk about. And one other one we he been talk about now how the economy been there as of the term where it take up governance. He say it makes a battered economy. In fact, the economy be there on life support. 5 years to now, in the area of stabilizing the economy, we see we just come. He introduced a lot of financial policies them just for boost the economy. He introduced the single treasury accounts we then can call one pot account. With all them policies then you think say as they speak of now, the president not able for take the economy in that life support stage where would I farm according to them?
No, absolutely not. In fact, our economy is at its worst ever in the history of this country than it'll ever be. And I don't highlight some of the indicators earlier where you see, look at the figures then. You know, so I mean, and it also they show, even on the cost of living as people, you know, if you're not a family of 3, you spend on average 150,000 leons a day for chop money. That in itself now plenty money for a country who side the minimum wage now 600,000 leons. We're not even able to buy you a bag of rice.
But according to government, the minimum wage don't go to 800. Effectively, April this year.
As far as me know, now 600,000 and a minimum wage. Let the government come and see the government spokesman there, but we know say minimum wage now 600,000. And not going able to buy you a bag of rice. And when we been there, it was 25,000. We ascend to 500,000. You know, so that not a huge difference. Now the minister don't repeatedly talk like say, let me therefore insult the intelligence of Sierra Leoneans. But let me be factual like that. I mean, I don't do in a public, I don't be minister, before Mr. Swaray turned minister.
Sure.
It is never possible for let the president of a country travel any side and go to map Nado for hotel. There are protocols around how presidents then they travel to other countries. No president nor the commoner in country, especially on official trip, even if na private trip self, a go na another president in country without presidents they don't know. So all them protocols, even me when I'm minister, before I dey travel, me office don't arrange hotel and everything for me. Usa I dey go, they don't reserve, they don't book. So there is no way I dey go at Timap Nado because they say bill no dey. And you don't travel. There is no way anybody they go a lodge than any hotel overseas. You come on at that hotel they you not pay. How the hotel they even let you go? It is just not possible. So this idea that president travel go Japan and go Timap Nakol because the previous government owe money, come on, that is just not possible. And the minister they make reference a lot to MCC score. Come on. If the previous administration not do so well with the indicators that way MCC they manage we on, how comes now we are the only government we don't receive money under MCC? Now we no more. Don't ever meet the threshold. We don't receive money under MCC because we do well. And the only money we Sierra Leone don't ever receive, now we. With all of these indicators where they talk about, they don't ever receive a dime from MCC. And this now they bring me to the last issue I want for discuss under this administration. Plenty time you go see the minister go talk about they don't repeal this, they don't repeal that, they don't repeal the death penalty. When you read the U.S. Human Rights Report, when it talk about corruption, it is very clear. This also a reputable international body. The U.S. State Department, U.S. government, they report on human rights. They state clearly that they fight against corruption, they target opposition more than government people. They turn blind eyes to government. So everything I stated here are fact. And also, when you look at the number of human rights abuses, extrajudicial killings, all of them things, then they are massive. So whereas, for example, you don't repeal the death penalty, but which sense it make? If you don't take away death penalty, when I for ensure say you eliminate killings in your country, but then you embark on extrajudicial killing. The extrajudicial killings will not happen under this administration. If you combine the P.R.O killing, August 10, Lonsar, Makeni, Tombo, it pass any death sentence killing will not happen under any government at this country.
Okay.
It pass. So whereas you don't repeal death penalty, which sense it make? If you don't say, okay, I not to kill prisoners there anymore, people not to get death sentence anymore, but then extrajudicial killings they happen, unabated. Nobody they never investigate. Even the reports where they promise we will never see an end to their reports, then they come on. So you just they do things for please the international world, but then back home the picture different. And these are some of the concerns where we as a political party they raise. So if I don't reach here, the people of this country, this is now an opportunity for the two parties. Now we hand power over to the SLPP.
So what do you try to say exactly? The people will forgo another chance.
Now we hand power over to the SLPP. They know how this country been there. We were a cohesive, united country where every Sierra Leonean will get the opportunity for harness, in potential. I always they say, me for example, me and President Nkrumah will never get anything in common. Me na Southeasterner, in na Northerner. Me na Mende, in na Thimni. Me na Christian, I mean, a Muslim, in
so
a Christian.
So see,
waiting I want to say that we in a country where we government for ensure say every Sierra Leonean forget the opportunity for harness the potential, regardless of who say you come out. We governments for work for we. Now that this administration promise we will and fail for do. This country is more divided today than it has ever been in the history of this country.
So what APC get for offer to the people of
Waiting the APC get for offer is this. In the first place, we go bring we country back together and unite with country. We dey rebuild this economy for make sure say every Sierra Leonean get the opportunity where it deserve, just like how we been do what we been dey. We dey improve on energy. We dey improve on the health, quality health. We go review the free quality education where they don't bring for make sure say it work for we picking them and it serve we picking them future. The future of this country now we picking them. The education is one who not for politicize.
Well, now we don't get 10 years to do that. And all of which you don't highlight. But there are still challenges and all of that.
Of course, there will always be challenges, but you get able to rate the challenges. And that is why I premise me intervention with waiting we do now every sector before I come to the government, the challenge. You don't overpromise what you will not deliver.
Okay, Sidi.
Let the minister get this today. Dr. Samra Kamara have been tell them in 2017. They're not listening, but they don't see.
Plenty thank you to you, Sidi Tunis, Publicity Secretary, APC Party. Over to you. Minister of Information and Communication, you say you want a last shot for end the program. So go ahead to the question.
And that's just by way of courtesy. Now we'll get a record for different. It's not so. I want for wrap up on this. I don't see a lot of references made to the U.S. State Department report. Sadly enough, like with all things, most Sierra Leoneans all the reference are not even read it. So that report today. I mean, while Eraser, in fact, I read the 22 report alongside the 2017 report. It's a template and a few things that can change. And one of them things that they always change, now the facts say, the same report notes say, prison leadership, the police leadership, now they take action, right? The notes say, under this administration, the police leadership, they take action. They also note that same thing what you say, but not then say. But we don't prove and say, Madam Mayor, Yvonne Akisoya, former mayor of Freetown City Council, Nayaso, a refund money totaling about $14,000, almost similar to plea bargain. That is not running after political opponents at all. We are aware now we left somebody who was considered a blue-eyed boy of the president, the maritime administration. They arraign them before the court. They indict her. They indict a city minister. So if that is not enough, we now want law all male they indict and simply the minister for proof say no more anti-corruption the work. That is not how it works. In my ministry, for example, when I see corruption, I report them. Then go through process and then people they indict them. They serve jail time. They not left the public service. So this government is serious. So we can't patent in it. So I want for note say this government will continue under the watch of His Excellency President Bill. Sierra Leoneans therefore think wisely and vote. For the first time in 45 years, even blind school, right? They don't give them buses, them blind and deaf across the country. In 45 years, I know this only say, we don't give that one day, they don't procure uniforms for distribution, and then they give them subventions. That is in the spirit of President Bill leaving no one behind. I also want to talk about the fact say, under this government, we don't introduce free quality education. We'll continue to deepen it. We'll continue to perfect it. So anybody who wants a continuation of free quality education with improvements, your best bet is President Julius Maada Bio. Right. Anybody who appreciates the repeal of the criminal libel law, your best bet is Julius Maada Bio. Right. Anybody who want let this country take a rightful place among other nations of the world, your best bet is Julius Maada Bio, abolishing the death penalty. Right. Anybody who want let Sierra Leone continue in respectability around the world, being a woman, this is the best time to be a woman in Sierra Leone. The gender empowerment and women's empowerment equality bill, President Julius Maada Bio is your best bet. Okay. If you want go higher education, you don't get money, your best bet because of the student loan scheme is President Julius Madabu. I can go on for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister Mohamed Swaray, we joined in at the program this morning, and also to you, Sidi Tunis, where you joined me at the program this morning and give the APC standpoint of view in terms of assessing President Bio in 5 years in office. Now they end the program. Good morning, Salon for Tidion edition. Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Kuman, and they produce the program. DJ Keman give you technical support, Usman Kamara and in team, and they make una watch we live on our Facebook page. Mina Khadija Bangura, they wish you all a lovely day.
And it's up to you, Kalonda says, stay tuned to this frequency and goodbye.